Hello guys, welcome back to another video in our TypeScript series. So in this video, we're going to cover the concept of object-oriented programming, right? OOP commonly called. So object-oriented programming involves the use of classes and objects, and you're going to see how you can implement object-oriented programming using TypeScript. So let's jump into it. So I'm just going to go in here, go into my terminal, my text editor, my code editor, and I'm going to get rid of, select everything and get rid of it. This is all from the last video, okay? So in here, I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can create a class. So let's start with creating a class. So class, and I'm going to go ahead and say person. So in this video, I'm going to have some assumptions that I actually know a bit about object-oriented programming. Okay, so this is just because TypeScript is just built on top of JavaScript. So I do assume that you already know JavaScript a bit. So I'm just building on top of that knowledge using TypeScript specifically, so that you guys can use TypeScript to have type safety in your codes, right? So I'm going to have a constructor right here. So I'm going to create a person, right? Each person needs a name and an age. So I'm going to say constructor, and I'm going to pass in, I'm going to say username, which is going to be of type string. I'm going to pass in a age, which is going to be of type number, right? So type number, just like this, and enter in here. So I'm going to have a name and basically an age of the individual. So once I have this done, what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to say, now I want to assign this to the object itself. So let me just actually save this for now. And I'm going to go down and create a const. I'm going to call this one, it's going to be, let me say prince, right? Prince, and prince is going to be of type, let me give it the type, and it's going to be of type person, and it's going to be equals to the person, new person. Sorry, I have to say use the new keyword because I'm creating an instance, and I'm going to pass in the first name, which the name is going to be prince, and then finally the age is going to be, let's say 30. Okay, so once I have this done, I can go simply go down and say console.log and say prince name username. And once I have this done, you can see now we have an error. So why are we getting this error, and what's the error specifically? So if I'm just go down here and hover on this, it tells me property username does not exist on type person. Well, that's strange. Okay, so I'm taking in the username and the age of the individual, but now it says that the property the username does not exist. And this is true because we never attach this to the object. So how do you attach it to the object? You can go down here and simply say this dot username is going to be equals to username, and you can go ahead and say this dot age equals to age. Okay, so once I have this done here, I'm just gonna go ahead and save this code. So now we still get an error. It says that property username does not exist on type person, and that's true. So now you have to go up here, and now you have to create that. So you say username is going to be of type string, and it's also have age is going to be of type number, just like that, and close this off and then save that code. So now we have it right there. So a constructor is what is called at the point of instantiation. I always have difficulty pronouncing this word, but an instance, a constructor is a function or a method within a class that is called at the point of instantiation, right? Creating an object. So that's basically it. So now once you have this, you can see all the errors are gone. And if I look in the terminal, we have prince as the username, right? So once I have that saved, I can just simply keep a space right there. So now you can see we have the constructor right here. So what's a constructor? A constructor is a method or a function within a class, which is basically a method that is called at the point of instantiation, right? Creating an object of a given class. So basically now you can see that all the error is fixed. So because if you're saying this, you're referring to the current class. So this dot username, which is this right here, that's going to be storing a string, and you're storing the username, which is also a string type. And you're saying this, which is referring to this age dot this dot age equals to now age, and which is of type number, and this age is of type number. So now that works fine. So if I look in the console, now you can see we have prints being printed, right? So good, that works perfectly fine. So that's basically how you can create a simple object in TypeScript. So that's the very basics. Now let's move on to access modifiers. So in TypeScript, just like in other programming languages like Java, Java mainly, C++, we have also access modifiers. So in TypeScript, there are mainly three types of access modifiers. Okay, these include the private, the public, and by protected. So we'll cover the private, the public, and the private, and we'll cover protected later on. So what is public? The public keyword. So by default, everything here is going to be public, right? So even if you don't specify it, it's public because you're able to access it outside of that class, so it's public. So you can also go ahead and explicitly say that it's public. So you can say public just like that, and also go down here and say public. It's like that. So good. So now that is public, and public can be accessed from anywhere within our code, right? And what about private? And private is only going to be accessed within the scope of the class. So let me just say I change this to be, okay, let me just go here and change this to be age. Right now I can access age in here and it's printing out 30. Fine. Now let me change this access modifier to be private. And let's see if private, just like that. So now I change it to private. Now you can see that we're getting an error right off. It says that property age is private and only accessed within the class person. So now you cannot access it outside of that class, right? So you can go ahead and access it anywhere else, and it will work, but not within the class. Okay. So we'll cover protected later on as we go through the whole series. Okay. So now we have learned about private and protected. Again, we'll come back to dealing with this private and protected later on, and how you can be able to access this private attributes outside of the class. So I'll show you that later on. So let me just change this back to be public, and let's leave it to be public. Okay, for now. Okay, so once we have this in TypeScript, there's also an easier way of doing it. We don't use the this keyword. Okay, and you don't have to go ahead and define all this right there. So you can just get rid of this, and you can get rid of this as well. So once we have that done, you can just go ahead and save the code. Good. So now you can see you're getting an error because this age does not exist on the class of on this object, right? So what you can simply do is just simply keep the access modifiers right here. So you can say public, right? This is public, and you can also say this is also public, just like that. So once we say this is public, this is a syntactic sugar for what we had previously. So we have done the same thing that was previously there, but you have done it now in one line of code. So now if I check the code again, it's going to work just fine. So you can see we have no errors in our code. So that's how you can also create basically have a constructor, okay, in TypeScript. It's just a syntactic sugar and making things much simpler. But if you want to do it the old way, that's the previous way we did it was the old and the long way. So this is a shorter way. So if you see this in some code bases or TypeScript code bases or code sources, don't be surprised. It's just a syntactic sugar of doing the same thing that we did previously. Okay, so maybe most of you are comfortable with the previous way that I did it, but now it's also good to know things. Okay, so once we have that done, that's all I wanted to cover about introduction to types, basically classes in TypeScript. So in the next video, we cover the concept of getters and setters, or accessors and modifiers, right? I think they're called. So we'll go ahead and cover accessors and getters, setters and getters in the next video. So guys, thanks for watching very much. If you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure that you like the video. That's one of the easy ways you can support the channel. Also, leave a comment in the comment section below whether you like the video, you hate the video, or basically anything that you think about the video. Let me know in the comment section below. I'll do my best to get back to you. Yeah, so yeah, that's one easy way you can support the channel. And so share the video with your friends who are learning TypeScript and anyone who just want to know TypeScript in general. Say okay. So thank you, and see you in the next one. We'll be going over getters and setters with TypeScript.